Hello, welcome to the first mini autopsy. Some of you will be familiar with me from doing the course. You will have heard my voice. Others, obviously, it's the first time. But there'll be people who are watching this that would have interacted with me through forums and through groups that I'm part of. Yeah, it's interesting to actually be communicating with you now in this way. First thing I need to break down. I was a little surprised that you picked this one. I knew it would obviously draw your attention, but I actually thought the gold would have been the one that many people would have selected, because from the point of where I showed my example, it actually moved up. It increased by $200 in 2 weeks, and that's massive gains for anyone who was on that trade. But here we are. You've chosen this one. In a way, I'm quite happy because this was a very, very basic trade. You're going to watch it, and as I explain it, you're also going to see how easy it was to spot. If you're on the course, I'm hoping that you may have even looked at this yourself, and you also already know what's to come. So it's going to be interesting. First thing I need to highlight, though, before we go into it, this is just a mini autopsy. This is just a snippet, okay? So don't take this and just think you can implement this anywhere and it's just going to work. It's not quite as easy as that. I can't emphasize this enough. If this was so easy, everyone would be making millions and millions and billions of pounds. There's a reason there's a select few. I think it's something like 3% that make good profit. It's because a lot of people they gamble. So I'm going to give you an example. People will be buying this because it's dropping. It did drop. So it dropped about 400 pips. So in the NG market, that is quite a major move. And I think that was within a day as well. So that was 12 o'clock. Yeah. So that was in a day. So that's quite a major drop. But if you look at these, lately it's kind of become expected. Same as, look at these accelerated moves up. So people will be coming in and they'll be trying to buy, but the market doesn't always, just because it falls down doesn't mean it's going to come back up. You don't just buy because the market is dropping. Good example here. Here, people may have had an area marked here, but it carried on falling. Then you did get rejection, but there are times where the market just keeps falling against you. So you obviously need to know when you need to take money, where your stop loss needs to be. This takes skill and this takes effort, and obviously we do focus on this in the course. We have modules dedicated to risk management. But if you're not on the course, like I said, don't just take this and think that you can just implement this anywhere. It won't quite work like that. This has all been normally what I would do is I would go back through different time frames to add in all my confluences. So they've already been added into this trade. So that's just one thing to remember. I'm just going to take this out because I will need to highlight something in a bit with that. So there's a lot of things already been added to this. So I'm just going to strip this down, show you how basic it was, and then we can go from there. Also, one thing to remember is with the Zenez strategy, or one of the Zenez strategies we have, we're looking at a 3-to-1 ratio where you only need to win 3 out of 10 trades. Yeah, that probably sounds remarkable, but yeah, you only need to win 3 out of 10 to remain profitable. Okay, so the reason we push this strategy is it allows it to be okay to fail. You don't need to feel the burden of having to win every single trade. You can take those shackles off. you can have losses, you can examine those losses and try to see where you've made mistakes and then improve on it. But it means that you don't have the pressure of having to try and get massive win ratios. You can have quite a low win ratio and start your journey low and build up, and you're still going to remain profitable. So the point I'm trying to emphasize is when I'm trading, I am looking for my confluences, but there are times, like this is a good example, where I will put a setup in and I will leave it to go because I understand that I can have losses as long as I remain at my 30%, my 3 wins out of 10. So the reason I'm saying this is because anyone who remembers me posting this example would know that the market closed at this point. And I was up, I just happened to look, as I do, I tend to scan over certain things. And I spotted something and I thought, that's interesting. And I did a very minor bit of TA because it was quite a simple setup. It didn't even really need too many confirmations in terms of indicators. I built a trade and I posted my example to show everyone. And obviously by the next morning, it had hit target. And I had a lot of feedback asking me how I knew this zone was going to be the entry level and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down for you. So also what you need to remember is with the 3-to-1 ratio and the 30%, you got to remember even people like Warren Buffett they're gonna make mistakes on their trading, but they're lucky because they got pro analysts who will jump in and correct it. They have analysts, pro analysts doing the FA, and so he has a team of people working with him. And the point I'm trying to make is we're very much on our own. Sometimes we will make mistakes and we will miss stuff, and it's inevitable. We're human. We will get distracted by other things. So it allows that flexibility if you do make mistakes. But the great thing about the Zenez community is it allows us to post what we're looking at. And you can have multiple people having their view, and they may detect the issue for you and be able to save you from that mistake. So I'm just going to say, the community is it's just a brilliant thing. It allows people to just help each other, and it just improves that educational process. So anyway, let's get into this. So at this point, the market has spent the whole day going down. It would be easy to say that I was expecting it to come up just because it dropped so much. No, there was no confluences at this point. It could quite easily have just carried on down to this level. The reason was, so first thing I'm just going to mark in is I need to add, I'm just going to open this up a little bit more. Okay, so I need to add a level around here. And then we're going to look to position our entry around here. So it was 4.43. There we go. Oh, wow. It was up. Yeah, okay. So it was a 3.06. Oh, wow. There we go. If I remember rightly, it was a 3.06 to 1. Okay, so that's our setup. So we're looking for the market to come up, trigger the entry, and then drop. So at this point, I'm asleep. Well, no, I'm not. So at this point, I've mapped it, but I'm getting ready to go to bed. And I'm just going to let this play out while I'm sleeping. So let's let the candles start to tell the story. So the next candle does this. And then we keep going. Oh, almost triggered him. So that's 2 a.m. So I'm fast asleep at this point. No trade active. Right, that looks like my trigger. Do you know what? I probably should move this across. So that is 5 o'clock. No, sorry, that was 4 o'clock. That's 5. So at this moment, like many of you, probably waking up between this and this candle. So let me just do one more. Okay. So hopefully people are waking up around these 2 candles. At the moment, I'm in good profit. I looked at it, I woke up and I logged on and checked, and I didn't move my stop loss down. I could have, but I didn't. Reason being is, if you look at this candle, it's turning. So what could happen is this. It's from here, we get a nice double top, and then it's still going my desired direction. Now, the last thing I want is for the market, is for me to move my stop loss down to cost, because really, that's the only time you really want to move it. There's no point moving it for less loss, especially if you have no confirmation that it's going to go against you, because you can get wicks that could potentially take you out and still go in your direction. So really, you want to leave it in place to maximize your potential gain. So in this scenario, worst case scenario, it could do this. Now, I'm pretty confident at this point in the trade that I've placed. Let me just get rid of that now. So let me just try the next candle. Wow, that's beautiful. So we've now got a double bottom, and yeah, potentially we could come back up. But for me at this point, I'm quite happy to move my stop loss. So my stop loss can be taken out of the equation. Now, with my stop loss, and I cover this in the risk management section, you ideally, when you say you're going to move it to cost, you need to move it into very minor profit, because the market sometimes can move against you quite ferociously. And if it's at cost, by the time your broker closes your position, you could be in negative. So you want a little buffer, maybe 10 pips, 5 pips, something like this, just to sort of take that impact. So at this point, it's been moved down to cost / very minor profit. Now we've had the break, and the time is 8 o'clock. So you've got to remember, I placed this when the market closed. I set this up around sort of between 10 and 11. Posted the example. By 8 o'clock, we are at this point. I am very, very confident now that my target is going to be achieved. I've just realized I've missed one piece of information for you. So let me just grab one of these. So you may ask, why was my stop loss where it was? And the reason being, if I put this line here, we represent kind of a bit of a stronghold where you would expect, if it did go up, to reject and come back down. And it might allow you to close the trade at a sort of minimal loss, because once it kind of breaks into this vicinities, sometimes you've got to accept the fact that your TA is invalidated. You just got to weigh it up and see for yourself whether you think it needs to be closed down and accept a minor loss, or whether you still want to go ahead and continue in the direction you were expecting. So obviously my stop loss was, I don't know if I can drag it back up. It probably dragged it green now. Yeah. There he is. So we'll make that. So it was around there. And as you can see, just above this zone. But at this point, I've now taken it out of the equation. I've moved it down. It's dropped below here. I can now move this down. And worst case scenario, I can come out of this trade with very good profit. So you're going to look to around this zone. This is sort of, there we go. So we've taken all that off. So worst case scenario now, we now come out of this with good profit. Let's see what the market decides to do. Some people might say, why didn't you close here? Well, for me, I still felt I could hit my target and, receive that extra money. But also, I had confidence in the TA that I placed, especially once this part had happened. So next candle, oh, do you see this? So we're starting to see a bit of a turn. Look at this. So you could argue it's swinging. To me, this is actually vital for this setup. So what I'm seeing here is now confirmation that we are flipped. Perfect. So we've seen some negative rejection, but again, buyers are trying to attack this zone. Let's see what happens now. Still bearish, but there's still buyers. You see these wicks. Great bit of rejection there. Okay. Well, I love these candles. I'm going to tell you a bit of gold right now, okay? The next candle in this sequence is going to be a complete, it's going to be sort of the completed move from this, okay? So watch what happens. Boom. Right, hits my target. What happens here? Look at this. You see these negative candles pushing down? Well, and then suddenly, boom, up and down. Well, you see where my stop loss is? Many people will have their stop loss above the resistance, okay? Like this. Quite tight, but resistance. Boom. That is liquidity eating, okay? We cover this in the course. We explain it. We tell you how to use your stop loss for your full potential to maximize your gain and minimize your loss. This is a perfect example of stop loss eating. Now, these spikes happen all over the place, and they happen so often where the market will fly up, eat all that liquidity to then fly down. How many times have you been in a trade, your stop loss has been taken out, your trade's closed, and then you watch the market go in the direction you were expecting? I bet it's happened hundreds or thousands of times to you, depending on how much you've traded in the past. That is what's happening. Like I said, we cover this in the course, so I'm not going to go too far into it because it's all broken down in there. But as you can see, boom, it's closed my trade. The money's been deposited, and I am now out of this trade. Question: how did I work it out? Well, if I move this here, okay, so this, I'll just open up a bit more, make it a bit more defined. This was my zone that I was sort of paying attention to, okay? And it was very, very simple. Very simple. Let me grab this. 2 seconds. Right, I just want to make this a little bit more easier for you to spot and see. Let's make it a bit thicker, and yeah, I'll make it green. Right. Let's grab that again. So we're coming from this point. We're coming to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, and then to here. Beautiful head and shoulders, people. Once you add in your confluences and everything we've showed you within the Zenez course, it was quite an easy scalp to spot and play out. And it was as simple as that. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to know more, come join us on the course and we will break down so much more. This is probably about 0.5, even less, of what you're going to learn through the course on how to make consistent profit. Thank you very much.